The Banshee. Banshee is a fairy in the Irish and Celtic folklore whose mournful scream or wailing at night is believed to foretell the death of a family member who heard it. In Ireland, banshees are believed to warn only families of pure Irish descent, and as the Irish families blended over time, it is said that each family has its own banshee. A banshee is a disembodied spirit in the form of a woman with very long silver hair in distressed old-looking appearance or a young beautiful one. The word banshee comes from the Irish word Banshee, which translates as woman of the fairy moans. Historians have traced the first stories of the banshee to the 8th century, which were based on a tradition where women sang a sorrowful song to lament someone's death. The banshee is relatively harmless. Apart from the dread people felt at hearing her cry, the only other fearsome activity she seemed to get up to were knocking on doors or windows. The Leprechaun. Leprechaun is a fairy in the form of a tiny old man in Irish mythology, often seen as a symbol of luck. They are often mischievous creatures who spend their time making shoes or hiding away their coins in hidden pots of gold at the end of rainbows. Leprechauns may grant 3 wishes to humans who saw them before they can be released. Most leprechaun legends can be traced back to the 8th century tales of water spirits, which were known as Lhouraine, which means small body. It is said that these spirits merged with a household fairy and developed a penchant for heavy drinking, so no cellar was safe. According to other researchers, the term leprechaun actually comes from the Irish term Leith Brogan, which means shoemaker.
The Puka is from the Old Irish word Puka, which means goblin. A Puka is a shapeshifter and can take any forms it chooses. Usually, it is seen in the form of a horse, rabbit, goat, goblin, or even an old man. Traditionally, a Puka is seen as a dark sleek horse with luminescent gold eyes. An important feature of the Puka is that they have a power of human speech. The mountains and hills are this creature's domains. The Puka was thought to be either helpful or menacing. It has been known to help farmers, but it can also wreak havoc.
The Merrow. The Merrow is an Irish mythological creature derived from the Old Irish word morwa, which means land beneath the waves. They can be considered as the Irish version of mermaids that can also shift their fins to legs on land. The male Merrow are hideously ugly, while the female Merrow are extremely stunning, enticing humans. Because of male Merrow's appearance, they hunt sailors, capture them, and trap their souls within the depth of the seas. Meanwhile, their female counterparts are commonly attracting male humans for their beauty and with the use of music. These female Merrows wear a special cap that gives them the ability to swim and live underwater. If a human steals this cap from the Merrow is forced to marry the man. Although, if the Merrow seeks and finds the cap again, she is free to leave the man and her family and to return to the sea. The Kelpie. The Kelpie, a Scottish mythological creature, is an evil horse-formed creature that is located in Scottish rivers and lochs. Its nature is to lure humans, most commonly children, to ride their backs, and once their victim is on them, their backs turn adhesive to trap their victim and drown them, then later on eats them, leaving their heart and liver. These creatures can form as beautiful women to attract young men and trap them once they are vulnerable. They can also form as a hairy creature that intends to jump on travelers and grip on them tightly. However, these Kelpies have a weakness. Their bridles are their most vulnerable spot. Once the bridle is taken advantage of, the person is in control of the Kelpie and possibly other Kelpies as well. One famous story about the Kelpie includes the Laird of the Morphy, which is a Scottish lord. The Laird tested the strength of a Kelpie by using a halter stamp with the sign of the cross. The Laird succeeded in controlling the Kelpie, forcing it to build a castle. When the Kelpie finished, he let this escape, but the Kelpie got furious and cursed the Laird, leading to the extinction of the Lairds.
The Changelings were fairies who had been left in place of a human child or baby who had been stolen by the fairies. It is believed that fairy babies were ugly and troublesome while human children are beautiful and obedient. Changelings are often said to exhibit odd behavior or have traits that are not normally found in humans, such as having extra toes or missing one. It is also believed that fairies kidnap human children for crossbreeding, for blood sacrifice, for the fairies to receive the love of a human child, and or for malice and revenge. The tales of changelings were also a contributor to very real neglect, cruelty, and even murder among certain individuals, as many children, often disabled and or of ill health, suspected of being changelings were subjected to harsh treatment of superstitious communities. Some folklorists also believe that changelings were leftover stories of inhabitants of various regions in Europe who had been driven into hiding by invaders. Belief in changelings endured in parts of Ireland until as late as 1895, when Bridget Cleary was killed by her husband who believed her to be a changeling.
Far Darrig. Far Darrig or Fear Gorta is a fairy from the Irish mythology. Far Darrig is classified as a solitary fairy similar to that of leprechauns and the Leprechauns, all of whom are considered to have similar features and known to be mischievous phantoms. He is known not only for his red hat and cape, not to mention sometimes he travels invisibly, but also for his mischief and mockery. They are also said to have connection to nightmares, for they are known to give evil dreams if they wanted to. It is said that during these circumstances it is advisable to say the phrase Na dian magad fum, or do not mock me. That way you cannot be used in one of the Far Darrig's macabre games. However, the Far Darrig plans his tricks well enough that any mortal is snared long before he realizes the need to protest. But the Far Darrig does not necessarily desire to do harm on mortals, for he is believed to actually bring luck to those he approves of. The Fear Gorta is usually seen in the form of an abandoned corpse, has skin with grayish-green color, deathly thin body, long gray or white hair, rotting flesh that hangs off its thin bones, and has no flesh on its cheeks. They wear clothes but dress in rags. The Fear Gorta has interesting abilities. He will bless those who give him alms forever with great wealth and prosperity, but for those who are selfish and don't give any, they are cursed until the end of their days with eternal hunger, poverty, and bad luck.
The Dolohan is a type of mythological creature in Irish folklore. It is also referred to as the Headless Horseman. This sinister being appears as a man or a woman riding upon a black horse, but the rider has no head upon their shoulders. The Dullahan carries his own head on his arm. Usually, the Dullahan is male, but there are some female versions. It is said to be the embodiment of the Celtic god Crumdub. The mouth is usually in a hideous grin that touches both sides of the head. Its eyes are constantly moving about and can see across the countryside even during the darkest nights. The flesh of the head is said to have the color and consistency of moldy cheese. The Dullahan is believed to use the spine of a human corpse for a whip, and its wagon is adorned with funeral objects. It has candles and skulls to light the way, the spokes of the wheels are made from thigh bones, and the wagon's covering is made from a worm-chewed pall or dried human skin. The ancient Irish believed that when the Dullahan stops riding, a person is due to die. The Dullahan calls out the person's name, drawing away from the soul of his victim, at which point the person immediately drops dead. There are rumors that golden objects can force the Dullahan to disappear.
Abhartach is an Irish legend about a brutal warlord from the 5th century who ruled over a small region of Ireland, thought to encompass Garba and Londonderry. He was believed to be a ruthless leader with magical powers bestowed upon him by evil spirits. There was once a magical Irish tyrant who enforced great cruelties on his people. He was killed and buried standing up. However,
their leave was not long-lasting. The next day the dwarf emerged from the grave, using his magical powers, more cruel and vicious than ever. The Abhartach has been known to drink the blood of his victims. Some claim that he is the inspiration behind Dracula. There is only one way to stop the Abhartach. We must kill him and bury him upside down.